G'day, legends. Welcome to the Pot Noodle. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me tonight are my fellow comrades, the two most, left leaning bloody Celtic Down Under people we got. So it's Liam and Dan. How you going, Liam?
Well, guys, I have to start with a bit of a dark story this week. Everybody thinks you just have one, it'll be fine, but then you keep going and you want more and you want more. Guys, I'm addicted to hunting tears.
You and me both, mate. Honestly, you and me both. I think what happens with it last time around, Liam, is if my memory's right. You end up with a bit of a stomach ache. You did so,
Yep,
small doses, small doses. How you
yep.
going, Dan?
Oh, look, I'm doing great. Look, I'm not saying any addiction's great, but if you're addicted to hunties right now, it's a great time to be in that market because the stock is plentiful. There's just everywhere you turn. I wake up every morning, check the foot knob, and there's hunties just bursting out of the screen at me. So uh, if you're into that sort of thing, look, I don't want to get anyone newly addicted, but if you're already down that path, it's a great time. And I'm
Let's look at
enjoying it.
it this way. If you could bottle that up and sell it and then put it on the stock market, that thing is going to the moon. It's the easiest way.
Look,
But,
it'd have a better share price than the actual hunts. So
exactly. Exactly. It's not hard. So, yeah, Dan is making his pot noodle debut here, after making his transfer across from the Thursday Sesh pod. So I'm going to kick you out of that group chat a bit later to give you the full transfer experience, Dan. So look forward to that.
yeah,
But
look,
no, it's
I'm just looking forward to giving 110% each week, taking it one game at a time, and gelling in with the new squad.
that's what we like. Happy days. Glad I still have you involved. So, yeah, we've got a little bit to talk about. There's been two games, two 4-0 results for us, two bunches of the Huns dropping points, and yeah, it's all fun and games. So, yeah, we've blown it out to what is a 14-point lead. Win later this week. It's 17 points. So before we're going to talk about the upcoming derby at the end of the pod, but I just want to share this for thought. Geo got sacked when they were down 7 points. Beale got the flick when they were down 9 points. They're down 14 now, potentially 17. They can't afford to sack the guy. That's all I'm going to say. Put it nice and early in the pod. But yeah, what we'll do is we'll go through some comments and then we'll get on there. So McLaughlin is saying, I love your picture there. Championis Day. Smell the glove. G'day, troopers. Yep, nice bit of maths there. McLaughlin saying 34 unbeaten domestically now. Andrew is saying just back from the Murray, missed the game. Don't stress, mate. I'll tell you what.
Hope it wasn't David Murray.
Uh, up the river, mate. Up the river.
Uh,
Heavy Vibes is saying how roll on Thursday. Smell the God saying I wonder how the Hun and Rangers radio had the big rant last week feels today.
which one?
Be
Hey,
way
did you
more.
guys see the guy smoking a dart going on all sorts of a rant? Now that was hilarious as well. Like that was a beaut. But yeah, we'll come back to this because we could just do a whole hour of just that and not even talk about the two games. So quick little chat. We won't go too long on the old games because it was a while back. It was like was it Thursday last week, Friday for us. So Celtic 4, Motherwell nil. Goals to Arna Engels, Dyson Maeda, Nicholas Kuhn, Rio Hatate. Stats were 23 shots, 7 on target for us, 84% possession, only 763 more passes that we made as well in that game. So, yeah, overall, it was a bit of a dominant performance, but first half in that game, really simple chat. I thought it was pretty turgid, wasn't great football. And my view on the second half was that's where the improvement happened. Dan, just give us your general chat, the general thoughts on the first half, on the second half, and then we'll talk about the goals.
Yeah, very flat, very flat. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. some forced changes through illness, or I don't know whether some guys had hangovers from the darts and the cup win or not. But a lot of changes. I thought we looked a little bit disjointed for most of that first 45. We got the penalty, which I still don't really I don't really see how it was that controversial. It was pretty clear from what I remember. And once we sort of got that settler, and full credit again, it's not always been our strong suit over the last couple of years, but gee, Arnie Engels can slot a pen. Like he is just clean, comfortable, confident, bang, like left, right, doesn't matter. I thought that settled things down. We sort of took control of the game from there, and a bit of a screamer from Rio Hatate to finish it was quite nice. So a good, comfortable win at home, and job done on a night when the other mob couldn't get it done.
Now, before we go to you, Liam, Christoph's got a comment up here saying, "Hail, hail, beautiful Celts," and he's tagged Celtic Down Under in it. I think this is probably the first time ever a lineup looking like the three of us has been called beautiful, because this is probably what you'd expect at a police lineup. So,
I've been called many things in my life, but I don't think I've been called beautiful before. Not even by
now,
my wife.
smell the glove. Saying Engels looked good yesterday. Which game we're talking about? We're talking about the Motherwell game at the moment. I know it's a bit hard when they were both 4-0. So we'll get to the Motherwell game. Sorry, the St Johnstone game in a little bit. But Liam, your thoughts on that?
Job done. It was just it was one of those games where it's like get the win, get the points on the board, and put the pressure on the Huns, and they will inevitably crack. I just a very sort of by the numbers, bit of a turgid first half, but we really came out in the second and just got the job done in style. Motherwell are not an easy team to beat. They can be quite solid and quite physical when they want to be, and we stood up well. Engels had a good game. Engels is definitely coming on. The more he plays, the more you see him kind of leveling up and getting used to the team, and that is what we want to see from guys like that. Yeah, I'm just pleased with it. It's typical end of year fare. Everyone's thinking about the derby, so you just want to get these other games out the way professionally, and that's what Motherwell was, just a thoroughly professional job.
Yep, 100%. Was so the goals, Engels' penalties has touched on it. Was he doesn't mind taking a pen. Mader's goal, Liam. What's your thoughts on that?
Yep, lovely bit of skill. It's just Dyson being Dyson, isn't it?
Yep. And then you have Kuhn's goal. Dan, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm struggling to remember it now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just watched the replay, so I'll go on it.
I'm sitting here going, I remember he cut, and then I'm like, hang on, was that the St Johnstone game or the Motherwell game?
I just think with Kuhn, it's the thing for me is, and it doesn't matter which goal we're talking about, he just hits the ball so cleanly, pretty much all the goals, and he's a good finisher, and he's got that ruthless streak. Give him a chance, and he'll put it in the net. So, yeah, my thing looking at the Kuhn goal in the Motherwell game was, yeah, as Liam said, job done for the boys, and Kuhn just took his chance. And Liam, wave if you're there, because I can't tell if you're frozen up or not. Happy days. And then Hatate's one, Liam. We'll throw that to you.
Aye, lovely finish. Good build-up move, good passing play, and yeah, thoroughly well taken goal. He's been threatening it for a while, so it's good that he finally got in and did it.
Yep. So I think basically we'll just wrap this one up quickly. We won't go player focus. We'll just do that later on. So man of the match in that game for you boys, who would it have been? For me, it would have been Mader.
You know what? I'm going to cop absolute pelters for this, but for the Motherwell game, for all the leg work you did and for the grunt work down the right, I'm giving the gong to Anthony Ralston.
Oh, okay. You said down the right, and I was worried that you were going in a different direction there.
Look, I'm OG Yang Gang, but I'm starting to run out of faith. But no, I thought the Bricky did all the hard yards and covered up some pretty intriguing stuff in front of him. So yeah, I'll have a good defensive effort.
Liam?
Yeah, I will probably. I'll probably go for Dyson as well, but I do think that Engels was good. I think Ralston was good as well. It's a good shout. I don't know if he's quite my man of the match, but he did have a decent game. And Yang, for all his flaws, he did win us the penalty that eventually put us ahead. So, and as we'll get on to, I think he had a decent game yesterday as well. So he is improving, definitely.
Yep, I would say that, but it doesn't change my viewpoint on him, Liam, which we'll discuss later in the pod as well.
Yes.
I'm just going to bring up a couple of comments. So Heavy Vibes is saying, look, Engel's looking better with every game he plays. I think he's at 6 months in, so he's now at that point almost where, you know how Kun struggled second half of last season. Then he's hit the ground running this half. Well, Engels has been in the door long enough now that he's starting to get into the groove of it, as you said, know which players will be where and everything. So it was pretty good. Christoph is said Celtic family is beautiful. Hail, hail.
Thanks, mate.
Legend. We'll take that. Smell the Glove is saying, yep, Yang is improving from total shite to just shite.
Incremental steps.
I think I'm going to say something pretty gross here. How many wiper was last night's performance for him, Liam?
Oh.
There
Well,
you go. When I grow Stan out, there you go, done.
If his typical performance was like 18 pints of Guinness level, that was only maybe about 10 pints yesterday.
Yeah,
he's moving up.
Smell the Glove is saying found a Hun podcast and 4 of them look like Barlini lifers and former members of the ICF. Total knuckle drag is worse than the usual.
Do you know it's a funny thing? See, when the Huns going on about the big house must stay open, right? Maybe it's a bit of Glasgow I came from or whatever, but the big house was Barlini Prison. That was what we called the big house. I don't know where they got Ibrox being the big house from.
It looks like a fucking prison, to be fair.
Well,
it's the same people in the stand inside it.
The Venn diagram of Barlini residents and Hun season ticket holders is almost a circle. It's not quite a circle, but
well, at least we know that there's no showers at Ibrox. You don't need to worry about dropping the soap, do you?
But you still might get shanked if things go wrong.
Brilliant. So we'll move on to the St Johnstone game. So Celtic 4, St Johnstone 0. Goals to Nicholas Kuhn, Kyogo had 2, and Dazen had the final goal of the game. So our starting lineup, Casper in goals. I like this back line. It gives us, as I've said numerous times, Johnston on one side, Vaya on the other, gives us more balance. And then Carter, Vickers and Scales as your centre-backs. Middle of the park, we rested Calmac. So it was Bernardo playing the 6 with Engels and Hatate playing in the 8s. That's how I saw it anyway. I don't know if everyone saw it the same way. I thought Bernardo was more the deep-lying one. And then Kyogo up top with Kuhn on the right. Maida got a rest, and Yang was playing on the left this time. So the Yang gang is still in effect. So, just want to get a general thoughts from you boys, Dan, on what was your thoughts on that starting lineup, and then about the first half. And then, Liam, off the back of that, you go on as well.
Yeah, look, I was really happy to see Calmac get a rest. I think we're so reliant on him, and we're asking him to play 40 to 50 times a season at this point. And what's he, 32, 31, 32? It's like, just, if you've got the opportunity, you're at home against St Johnstone. First 20, 25 minutes, I thought St Johnstone were up for a little bit of a battle, but if you're ever going to have the opportunity to rest someone, this is the game to do it. And with the Walking Dead on the horizon, it was the perfect opportunity. So I was really happy to see that. I thought Bernardo was solid. My man Liam Scales, I thought was great at centre half. I know the trusty Scales conversation is one we're probably going to have over and over again between now and the end of the season. But I think I did read that Scalesy completed the most successful passes of the game, and a lot of those I thought were, not game-breaking or opening passes, but forward passes at the very least. He didn't recycle a lot of possession from what I could tell. Full disclosure, I was watching this so half asleep with a baby screaming at me. But that's what I took from that. Kyogo up top. It was nice to see him get a couple just to sort of open things up and get a bit of pressure off his back. And yeah, nice, comfortable first half. The goal coming a little bit earlier than the half-time penalty in the Motherwell game, I think, gave us the chance to just take the pressure off nice and early, and we move forward from there.
Yeah.
And Liam, what was your thoughts?
I think it was a much more polished performance than the Motherwell game. We were firing right from the start. It was inevitable that we were going to score, and this might be a bit controversial, but I actually think that the midfield was a bit more cohesive with McGregor not there. I think the players had a better idea of their roles. What exactly they had to do. Our best midfield is Callum McGregor +2. That's a fact. But when those three were in there, I think they all had a better idea of what they had to do, and it seemed a lot more cohesive. Yang had a good game again. I think he's definitely better on the left than he is on the right. But Dyson is the first name on the team sheet for me, so there's no way Yang starts at the Hunnery at the week on Thursday. I would say that Kyogo needed those goals. It was good for Kyogo to get on the score sheet. The wee man's been trying, and it's just no quite been coming off for him. I don't buy into this thing about Kyogo having a loss of form. I think he just needed a wee bit of confidence, and he got that from those goals, hopefully. And looking good, all set for Thursday. Bring it on.
Can I just ask Liam there, do you think when you say the midfield three was more cohesive, do you think it was because all three of those guys were able to possibly play a little bit more natural and not be deferential to Cal Mack?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the three of them were able to kind of, how should I say, impart their personality on the game a bit more. Because there was no defined leader calling the shots, whereas when Cal Mack's there, he is the leader, and people follow his example. They had a bit more creative freedom, I think, and the team was better for it.
Yeah, that's how I saw it as well, Liam. Like, for me, yeah, Calmac is our main man, but the thing was take him out and let guys settle a bit more. And like when you see Bernardo is the Portuguese under 21 captain and he plays in that role, he's a lot more settled. If he went forward, Engels dropped deep to cover him, so he seemed more settled. It's not like, I'm not trying to be rude to Calmac, but actually I think this could have been the making of those two guys in their Celtic, like being there knowing that, okay, those two are good enough to hold the fort down and run the show along with Hatade. That midfield there is good enough, even without our skipper. It's like last season when O'Reilly dropped from the 10 back into the 6 when Calmac was out hurt. That was the making of him. Not last season, the season before under Ange.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
So I'll bring up some comments here. John Clements is saying, I'll make a forecast. Young has a lot to learn, but plenty of ability and will be a player for us next season. 5,000 miles away from home, different culture, big step up he will develop. Heavy vibes.
I agree with that. I agree with that in a big way. I'm not ready to write off the Yang Gang, that's for sure.
And then Heavy Vibes is saying wingers were 10 out of 10 yesterday. Bernardo was great, but Engels was outstanding. Yep, 100% agree with that. And Smell
Man of the match for me.
What was that, Lamb? Man of the match was Engels?
Man of the match, yeah.
Yeah, same here. Smell the God saying Brendan rests players because we have earned the points lead. Baltimore rests his better players for our game and then drops 5 points in the previous two levels.
Aye.
That's why one of those men wears Gucci.
And then you've got Typhoon McFlustery. Is there enough custard in the world to go with their crumble, lads? Well, is there,
If
Liam?
not, we can always garnish it with some hun tears.
That's what you wash it down with, yeah. So we'll go through here. Midfield, as McLaughlin's saying here, midfield selection dilemma for Thursday. We'll discuss that a little later on. But John Clemens is saying here, John Clemens, as like Calmac, they man marked Bernardo and we passed well and bypassed him. The other two took more responsibility. Exactly. And that's the thing, take Calmac out of there, and the other guys stepped up. So yeah, it was good to see.
Definitely.
I'm really excited too about what it means for Arnie Engels. Like I know there's a lot of conversation around whether he's, and myself at one point a few weeks back, I said I was quite happy for him to have a rest, and I don't expect big things from him in the short term. I think there's so much potential there, and we paid 11 million quid for his potential, and for him to come and work as this great young player with all his potential to come and work with Brendan Rodgers. So, he's the first guy to get a bit of slating on the, you're not going to take them as gospel all the time, but he's the first guy to get a bit of a slating on the Clyde Super Scoreboards of the world and Twitter and Blue Sky or wherever we are these days. But I think you can see what's happening and where he's coming from, and you can see that he is going to work into. He should work into that potential under Brendan as well. So I think by the time he's finished his career at Celtic Park, then I think we'll have a good gauge on whether it was 11 million quid well spent. But I'm really confident in where he's going.
Now, did I skip ahead and we didn't talk about the second half, or what? I think so. So, Liam, I'll throw that to you.
Well, I think it all just kind of merged into one for me because it was just the team were on it from minute 1 to minute 90. We were totally in control. There was about maybe a 90-second spell at the start of the second half where St Johnstone looked slightly dangerous. Sorry, Motherwell looked slightly dangerous. Is it Motherwell or St Johnstone? No, sorry, St Johnstone. Sorry, I'm getting. God, it's that time of year. Sorry, guys. They looked slightly dangerous, but as soon as we got back onto our level, we just kept going, and the goals just kept flowing. And yesterday on Axom, I predicted that I thought the game went to be 6-0, and I'm almost kind of disappointed it wasn't, because when Maeda's goal went in for 4, we still had time, and I thought this could be 6 here, and on another day it could easily have been. A couple of great saves from the St Johnstone keeper. Kyogo's goal was offside, so we'll not get too angry about that one. But it was just a really, really good performance.
I'll get angry about it, Liam, because it almost ruined my coupon.
Oh.
I had a 5-0 on it. It actually did ruin it. But anyway.
I remember those. We're not allowed those over here anymore.
Yeah, anyway.
I'm not allowed them in this house just because I'm trying to send my kids to university.
So that makes sense. So yeah, I'm just trying to find a comment that I wanted to. Pork Chop expresses we need Calmac in there on Thursday. We sure do. Like it'll happen. I was trying to find this one here. Craigie White nearly phoned a sickie this morning on the advice of my sports scientist. Smell the Glovers. I thought Brendan was going to play Engels at 6 yesterday with Calmac rested, but in the interview, he said in the interview that Bernardo was playing there. And then really think the score on Thursday will be what Brendan and the players want it to be.
Yes, spot on.
And that ties in the next comment from Heavy Vibes, because the second half onslaught could have been 14-0 instead of 4-0. And that's not a joke. That's the funny thing. That is actually legitimate. Like, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So, talk about the goals. We've spoken about Corden. I said about him on the last game, but yet again, gets in an area, puts the laces through it. He's just such a class finisher. Love seeing the way he plays, and he scored. But then he had a run very similar where he came off the right in onto the left, top corner, opposite side, very similar to the one I think he had against Leipzig, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was very similar. The keeper got to it this time just. So yeah, just seeing Kun up and about the way he is, it's class. It's great to see. And then the other goals after that were the Kyogo ones, so I'll throw them your way, Liam.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, Kyogo's first goal was just what a good striker does, just following up on the loose ball, just making sure that he's there, and it's a tap in. But it was just a really classy move, deserved a goal, and I'm glad that the wee man was there to get on the end of it. And the second Kyogo goal was just classic Kyogo. Beautiful ball across, and he just gets in front of the defender, gets his boot on it, and it's in the net. It's one of them. All you have to do is just redirect that cross. And was it Engels that put the ball over? I can't remember. Whoever it was, beautiful ball in, and all it needed was just that touch to redirect it. And Kyogo is so good at that.
The second, I don't know who it was. I think it was Engels was in that one, and then it was Bernardo on the Maeda goal later on, which will go to you, Dan.
Yeah, beautiful little through ball from Bernardo, unlocked everything, and we spun the Maeda wheel of excitement, whether we were going to get a Rosetta or a goal, and tidy finish, right foot, slipped it in, bottom of the box, nice and comfortable. Just what you want from your forward players, and a guy that's in red hot form at the moment, Big Dazen. He'll be, he must just be so happy and excited, looking forward to playing his mate Tav on Thursday. So.
We had to see that meme again of Tav here looking fearful and Days in the background going, magic. Yeah, it's going to be great. So me and Liam already said Engels was man of the match from this stand. Any disagreements there, or you want to give anyone else a shout out?
Did I give this one to Tony Ralston as well, or no? He 15 minutes at the back end, didn't he? No, I thought it's probably between him and Kyogo for the two goals, but I'll make it a trifecta and lock in Big Arnie.
That's good. So, any other talking points from that game you boys want to discuss, or do you want to roll on to the next couple of things and a lot more trash talk of the Huns leading into the derby?
Trash talk.
I was going to say, can we not just give our man of the match to Philippe Clement just for the shits and giggles?
What, so he actually wins something?
Aye.
Can't believe you let that one go through to the keeper there, Lamb. Oh, hang on, if it was Butland, it would have been an own goal.
If VAR would have saved him.
Aye, VAR would have said it was offside anyway, so you're all right.
Yeah. So, I'll just bring up some more comments here. What do we got here? So, Pork Chop Express is saying Brendan looks like he's coaching Bernardo and Engels in forward roles in midfield, but can rely on both to play 6-2 fluid midfield with 3 swapping positions during the game. Yeah, looks class.
Aye. That our midfield is definitely a lot more dynamic than it has been in recent times, and that's great to see.
I'm going to say something. The dynamic midfield I thought we'd have when it was a young Calmac, it was Olivier and Cham and Bruni. I thought there'd be Bruni sitting, those other two being dynamic as 8s pushing forward, right? Never happened. It's actually happening now. And it's not just Calmac, Engels, Bernardo. Hatade can play multiple positions, and so can Luke. So we've got 5 guys up to the task for 3 positions. We're finally there.
This is what we've been looking for all along, this incremental leveling up in quality of the first team, but also of the squad. Because like you say, you can slot in any 5 of those players and you're not have a discernible drop off in quality. We can all have our opinions on who the best 3 are, but really, I don't think you're losing quality regardless of who plays.
And it's not just locally in Scotland either.
No.
They all play a role and can do a job for us. Okay, in the Champions League, I would have Luke as the 5th option. But if we're playing Europa League, so the Huns level, I wouldn't have any question on any of the 5 being a starter.
Agreed.
100%. We look good with that depth, and I think another couple of transfer windows with Brendan moving people in and out however he wants, the squad's going to take shape, and he'll build the level of those guys that he trusts and he's happy to call on.
So I'll use that as a segue, even though I was going to bring up a few more comments. I can come back to that. But something you just said there, Dan, about Brendan, a couple more windows and everything, actually ties into one of the next things I want to talk about. So I wanted to discuss what goals Celtic should have for the month of January. So there's been talk about three main things happening or about to happen. So if all of the following three things happen in January during the transfer window, I want to know, would you guys classify this as a successful month for the club? And this is all out with of actually the games on the pitch, right? So number one on that, and this is where I'm tying it in, Brendan Rodgers signs a new deal at Celtic. Talk is it's pretty much done deal from what I've heard for January. Number two, Brendan has said he wants to focus on getting a winger in as a priority, but then there's also the talk, apparently, KT Claxton, everyone, apparently that is pretty much done as well, whether it's at the end of the season or not. So get a left back in to replace Taylor and a left winger in to give Dazen a challenge. And Yang and Palmer, they're in the next one, and the third one is move on from those with no future at the club, like Yang, Palmer, Welsh, Naroski, and others, right? Who are out on loan, like Lager, and so on. So those ones who are on loan, they'll be dealt with at the end of the season. But realistically, if Rodgers signs a new deal, if we get that left winger in who can play across the front, if we sign say if we get KT, for instance, coming back on a pre-contract for the rest, like at the end of the season, and then we move on Yang, Palmer, if Welsh goes out on loan, Naroski, whatever happens with him, if we do all of that, is that what you were talking about there, Dan, of leveling up the squad and leveling things and improving things incrementally? Because if that'll happen, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah, look, I think there are still remnants, and some of the guys we're thinking of. Look, I was going to write it down just in case you wanted clarification on what I'm trying to manifest. It's nice and easy for the audio listeners. Sell Palmer, but it's clear whatever. And look, there's probably a player there somewhere. Whether he's adapted, he did some good things, whatever. It's really clear that Brendan doesn't trust him. We're at the point where the 0-0 draw against Dundee United, he had that chance. He did nothing. That was, I think, it sort of felt like the last run out. Go and do something here, mate. Again, against a team that's really going to sit back, really tight, really compacted, get something done. It's clear Brendan has no trust for him. Like if we were looking for a wing option on Thursday against the Huns, you're more likely to see big Tony Ralston thrown out there than Palmer at this point. Like, let's be honest. So guys like that, whether there's a rumor, whether there's I guess a point where some of the other guys, Brendan's happy to put the pen through. Like obviously Narochki, there's no desire to keep him around by the look of it. Lagerbielka, guys like that, you can put the pen through, and it's about, I guess, it doesn't seem like we're replacing them with academy products or young players, but I guess at this point it's about filling that squad out, whether internally or through the transfer window, with guys that Brendan wants to work with and thinks he can put on the pitch and trust to go out there and implement what he wants. So Kieran Tierney, it's a no-brainer. If it can be worked out, it can be worked out. Greg Taylor's been a great servant, but a fresh and fit Kieran Tierney is such a big improvement at that level. And then you really are just, as you said, looking for someone to come in and compete with Maeda, whether we keep both the strikers we've got, when they just bought Ida, obviously, but whether there's any interest in Kyogo is often rumoured. Whether we do business up there or we bring in a third striker remains to be seen. But I think it's about filling out the rest of the squad now and doing that with guys that are good enough to come in, like we've got in that midfield 3, midfield 4, midfield 5, guys that you can rotate in with very minimal disruption.
Makes sense. And Liam, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I pretty much echo what Dan said. I'm in kind of on the same lines there. I just think that I would be quite happy with KT coming back, like you say, whether it's immediate or in the summer. Um, I still hold out hope for Jota. I know they say don't go back, whatever, but oh my, if he walks in January 1st, you know, denim and bumblebee tapo and just walks in, it's just Jota at the Brazen Head having a pint, and it's like, welcome back, son. That would just be the perfect way to start the new year. I But failing that, another winger, yes. Palma is done. The fact that we've persisted with Yang in the last couple of games really shows that Palma's a spent force. I'm afraid he will be a good player somewhere else because he's got the ability. He just doesn't fit our system at all.
Yeah, makes sense. So the thing with Palmer as well, like how you were saying, Dan, if Palmer was to, there's more chance of Tony Ralston playing on a wing than Palmer. There's more chance of Bernardo coming back from loan and playing than Palmer, in my opinion. Like there can't be.
Bernabei.
Oh, sorry, that's what I meant. Bernabei, my bad, not Bernardo. Idiot. I was a bit distracted because I was reading the comment. So
You
Bernabei,
had me really trying to, like, I was sitting there going, hang on a minute, am I
you had to
off my head or
decipher
what?
my distracted human
And then I just
brain.
screamed it out. When I got the, when you get the answer and you're like, yep, Bernabei, I got it. I
Yeah,
know the answer.
like, there's more chance of him, right? But honestly, there can't be a guy much worse than what he is playing in the B team. Honestly. So you could blood a young kid if you had to long term as a backup, as your fifth option as a winger. So yeah, get rid of both and go from there. But yeah, I'd be happy with that, and the results keep chugging along. So I'll just bring up a few of the comments here before we get into more derby talk and trash talk and stuff. So Heavy Vibes was saying a couple of the goals were works of arts, pure class. Jerry Burns, good day everyone, what a weekend. Craigie White, good to see Kyogo in the groove and Engels coming on big time. I also like Valle more and more. Looks like a class act. I wish we could keep him. Doubt it's going to happen. Smell the glove. I want to know if they are playing simply the best on Thursday. Could do it after the game. There you go. Smell the glove is saying McCowan can play right wing as well. There we go. That's an option.
Yeah.
Is anyone but Palmer at this point? Literally.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yep. On this comment from Andrew, we'll buy a striker, maybe sell one. I don't think we'll buy a striker because that'll be a hard sell for Brendan. When you already got Kyogo and Ida as 1A and 1B, you're basically trying to tell the person that you're buying that you're barely going to play your third string striker. So realistically for me, it would be Maeda as a starting left winger, third string striker. You want to get someone to challenge Maeda for his spot on the left wing. So I think we'd be better off signing a winger to challenge Maeda. So if Maeda has to ever play striker, we've got someone who can cover that spot. That's how I think we'll play it. We all know Brendan loves players who can play multiple positions.
Yeah, I think that's the better move, like you say. Get somebody in to challenge Dyson, and then he can be that third option as a striker. So we don't need another one.
This is where ideally you've got someone coming through. And I know is it Daniel Cummings that scored a number of goals for the B team. I don't know why we're not seeing someone like him getting a little bit more time sitting on the bench. But, smarter men than me, i.e. Brendan, are making that decision. But this is where you'd want to see someone like that coming through and maybe getting a spot on the bench here and there. For me, anyway.
Whether it's Cummings or it's Johnny Kenny coming back to be that third striker, that's the other option as well. He's banging in goals for Shamrock Rovers, scoring a bit in the Europa Conference League, so maybe he could be your third striker, and then that's where gives you more options as well.
Absolutely.
Pork Chop Express has got a rumour here for you, Liam. So, heard a rumour all Japanese want to leave. This from a Celtic pod, but not sure I believe it. I reckon that would
Right.
have come from a certain pod. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
I'm not going to shoot the messenger here, so no harm to you, Pork Chop. This isn't a go at you, but rearrange these words to make a commonly known phrase. Pish utter. Not going to happen.
Hang on. I'm still trying to do it.
Say what you see, son. Say what you see. Right. No. The thing is, the players are not going to move as a block. Just that will not happen. I don't believe the rumours about Kyogo are true anyway. But even if they were, that would not affect Hatate or Daisen. We've moved on to Japanese players, well, 3 Japanese players actually in the past 18 months. Ideguchi, Kobayashi, and then Iwata. I still think letting Iwata go permanently was a mistake. That should have been a loan, and we should have brought him back. But the other 3 have carried on regardless, and I don't buy into this idea of the 3 of them going en masse. That's not going to happen. If any of them go, I think the most likely one is Hatate because we get offered stupid money for him. But even then, I don't think that would be until the summer.
Look, if Ronnie wants to come in and offer only 10 million for Kyogo, he can do one. That's pretty much the way I look at it. Like, not enough money. So now there's some comments here. Peg Leg saying Jota not happening. It's not going to happen now. If Jota was to come back, it would be in the summer because it's the tax reasons which are touched on here. Tax reasons he can't come back yet. Now there was another one we were saying about KT before. Pork Chop Express is saying got to sign a left back along with KT because he will not complete 60 games a season due to fitness. I actually would like if we could somehow get Valle back and have KT and Valle, perfect, right? But I don't see Valle coming in to play second fiddle. He's going to want to be the starter. So I don't see that happening. Now, if KT comes in, perfect way, we're about to talk about this production line. Who do we have? We've got Mitchell Frame, and we've got the other guy, Anderson, who's out on loan, Fred Wacker over in the Austrian second division. Maybe one of those guys could step up to be KT's backup and play that role as the young up-and-coming left back, the same role that Valle is playing now behind KT. And it'd be like, full circle moment where KT was that young up-and-coming left back behind Izaguirre, went past him when he got hurt, took his spot. Now there's a young guy coming in on his heels. That would be, I just think it'd be almost too, if we're going to use the term beautiful that Christoph used earlier, it'd be too beautiful a moment in football. Yeah, so Pork Chop was saying about the Jota thing. He has to stay in the UK for 2 years. Summer will be okay to come back.
Yeah, that ties in with what I believe as well, based on what I've been reading.
Smell the gloves. Agreed with the Johnny Kenny thing here. Give him a go as third striker. Get him in first team training. Sign a left winger. Exactly. That's how I think we'll play it out.
Yeah.
Peg Leg saying Kyogo change an agent doesn't sound great. Here we go. Pork Chop's got a question for you. Liam, it was from a Celtic boy on a Celtic pod, not the media toilet paper. We'll see in the summer. I believe Kyogo and Hatate will leave, but Dazen will stay.
Yeah, I mean, look, as I said, I'm no shooting the messenger here, so no harm to the guy who said it. But I would want to know where did he get that information from, because based on what I know of Japanese football and the way it all works, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that the 3 players would be collectively agitating for a move. So yeah, we'll wait and see. I think he might be onto something with possibly the 2 boys leaving in the summer. I don't think Kyogo would go though, because I think if Kyogo was going to go, he would have gone already, because he's past that age now where he gets the one big money move. Usually players make that move at like 27, 28, and Kyogo's 29 now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's a wee bit maybe beyond that. If Kyogo moves, it would be to back to Japan to try and get back into the Japan national team, because he's still got an eye on that. It's going to be difficult as long as that Belen Moriyasu is in charge of the team, but you never know.
So I'm just going to bring up this comment here as well. Andrew's saying every struggling EPL side would welcome Kyogo.
Don't know if their fans would, though, because the kind of arrogant dismissiveness they have towards anybody who plays in Scotland. You know, what are you doing signing someone from one of those pub teams? You know, usual nonsense.
Express was, the rumour mill in football, guys, and the Glasgow one is in overtime every window. It's good though for it's good for the podcast. Gives us lots to talk about. So keep it up. you love it. But Smell the Gloves got a comment here as well. So with KT's injuries and obvious future injuries, I'd go for James Penrice of Hearts to share the left back load. If we're going to get someone from Scotland, I'd be bringing in Jack McKenzie from Aberdeen. The big left back, he's a free agent in the summer. I'd bring him in if we're going to bring. So he's association trained, so it helps for Europe as well. I'd go for him if we're going to go for someone within Scotland. But if we had heaps of time left over, I was going to actually go through free agents in Scotland and then who's coming up as a free agent and are there any of them that we'd want to sign. But I closed that down because I thought there's no point. That's something we could do in January.
Yeah. We need to leave ample time for Hun scalping. Remember, guys, priorities. Priorities.
That's exactly where we're at right now. So, as we've had a few little chats already, the next game up is the Glasgow Derby on Thursday. So it's a 2 a.m. kickoff for us over here on the east coast of Australia. What's that for you, Liam?
It's
midnight.
I think so. Yeah. It's whatever it is. I'll be watching it anyway because I'm off work the next day, so it's all good.
Yeah, 100%. We're doing the same. So, how are you feeling heading into the game, Dan?
Yeah, pretty confident. I'm not at the point where I'm like, we'll rack up double figures or whatever. It's not that long ago that we had the cup final, and we were comfortably the better team, but it did end 3-3, and they were able to throw some punches. They're going to be hurting for obvious reasons. They're an arrogant bunch of fucks that think they're entitled. Sorry, it's well beyond 5 minutes. We'll keep that one in. The level of entitlement runs heavy in the club from fans to players, and I don't know what the manager thinks he's entitled to. He's a fucking weird unit. So they'll be hurting. They're in a spot where their fans are kicking them left and right. They'll be up for it. We're a cup final for them again, basically. I think we're still comfortably the better side. We win, 99 times out of 100 this game, I think. But I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to call it an absolute kicking. It's just get the win, get out there, walk away 17 points clear for me. If you can embarrass them along the way, great. But just get the win.
Yep, I'd agree on that. Liam, what are your thoughts heading into it?
What I'll say is, if you're someone who reads the Scottish press, get ready for an absolute torrent of gaslighting over the next couple of days to try and convince you that this game is somehow competitive. I've got mates who are Rangers supporters, right? And they say things like, "Oh, we're due a win," or it swings and roundabouts. We have to get a result eventually. And I'm like, aye, but do you have any actual logical argument that has a basis in fact that says you're going to beat Celtic? And the reality is they don't. It's all emotional. Emotion tells you, we've got to win eventually, whatever. And my emotion tells me that I've got anxiety about the game, even though I know we are superior to them in every aspect.
It's PTSD from the 90s, Liam, growing up.
It is. It's all, and everything that the media push to try and maintain, because remember, they have a vested financial interest in keeping this alive as a rivalry. Right? They have to pretend that they're still an old firm. They have to pretend that Rangers are still a team that can genuinely challenge Celtic every year in order to sell newspapers. That's what that is in their financial interest to maintain this nonsense. The fact is, we could lose to them 3 times and still win the league at a canter with the way things are going, right? That's the reality. That is how far ahead we are. We generate more income than they do. We have a far higher value squad than they do. We have a stadium that is bigger. We have a fan base that is much bigger globally. Our merchandising sales are completely on a different level from theirs. Across Europe, Celtic have a reputation as, cliche I know, but a sleeping giant, a big club that isn't at the level it should be at the moment. Nobody thinks that about Rangers. Nobody thinks that.
It's one other thing you left out, Liam.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing they've got going in their advantage on us is that, they're the bigger bigots. That's pretty much it.
I mean, that's the thing.
Not something you want to have.
You try and have a rational debate with them about anything, and within 4 or 5 comments, it degenerates to anti-Catholic bigotry and child abuse jokes, because that's all they've got. That is all they've got. There is no rivalry.
Someone today I saw literally talking about Patrick Stewart coming in, and it was Patrick brackets unfortunate name. It's like, oh my God, fucking move on. The rest of the world has. But
I mean, it was the same
it's all they've
yesterday.
got.
I was listening to one of the Hun podcasts just for a laugh, I had the tissues at the ready, and they were going on about Kieran Dowell, but it was very telling how he was never Dowell or never, they talk about Czerny, they talk about Tavernier, but it was always Kieran this and Kieran that. It was like emphasizing the fact that the guy had a Catholic sounding name, it was like so pathetic. But yeah, look at it historically, right? The last time that they were truly dominant in Scottish football was the 90s. And we all know that was bought and paid for with money they didn't have. So it was not a fair contest, right? The last time Celtic and Rangers was a genuine rivalry where 2 teams were on an even level, I think was the late 60s, early 70s. That is the last time that they were genuinely our rivals. Everything in the late 80s, early 90s was entirely based on David Murray's false economy. 2000s, again, EBTs to create the false sense of rivalry. And then, we had a pandemic which completely screwed everybody apart from them, the one season that they did win the league. So, if you look at somebody like, for example, Bayern Munich in Germany, right? They've won, I think it's something like 12 out of the last 13 Bundesliga titles or something, right? Total and utter dominance. Total and utter dominance. But there was still that one blip where Leverkusen won the league. Now, that was a combination of Leverkusen having one of the best, most consistent seasons of football in recent European history. They only lost 1 game, and that was the Europa League final, right? No way are Rangers ever going to hit that level of consistency again, right? But that's how it's going to be in Scotland from now on. They might win 1 title in 10 or 1 title in 15. But again, as previous commenters have said, they'll win when we allow them to by underperforming. If we play to anything near the level we should, they don't get near us. Thursday is just another example of that.
That's all they are now, Liam. They're a cup team. They'll win a cup. They'll win a cup here and there. If we implode, they win a trophy. The league. That's about it. But going on what you said, I want to elaborate on something. So you went back to the late 60s, 70s when that was even, right? I'll go when both teams were doing well in Europe. Then there was the new firm part with Dundee United and Aberdeen were up and about, challenging for titles and so on. So both us and Rangers were in that mix there, where it was 4 teams battling it out. That was the last time it was even.
Yeah.
Then it was the doping and so on. So yeah, it's, as you said, you go back that far and it's like longer than pretty much it hasn't been a fair rivalry in my whole lifetime.
No.
That's saying something.
But as you alluded to, the PTSD from the 90s is real.
Yeah.
Because for all the subsequent, yep, they were cheating, yep, this is all bullshit, we still had to sit through that.
We didn't know it at the
And
time.
my earliest memories of Old Firm or Glasgow Dogs, whatever you want to call them, the real Old Firm back then, were absolute nightmares. Some of the worst games I've ever watched. They were awful. I come from a mixed family where a lot of people were Huns, and it was a nightmare. We didn't want to talk football. It was awful. We were consistently embarrassed. And it wasn't until, some shining lights on the hill and the King of Kings come and things slowly turn around for the better. But as you said, there was a point there where on the field the teams were very well matched and there was some very close contests, again, propped up by the false economy. But the PTSD is real, and that's why to this day, like, you go on Twitter or Blue Sky, whatever, and you see, the obsession, you just won, you're thinking about us. I get almost as much enjoyment out of them losing as I do us winning. Point blank, I love it. It's fucking amazing. I can sit there and watch them play the neo-Nazi Starlike 11, and I would be cheering for the neo-Nazis that day because you know what? Lesser of two evils. Look, don't clip that because it's going to sound really bad out of context.
Yeah.
Sounds bad in context. It's going to sound really bad out of context.
Those words are Dan's personal comments. No agreement, or they got nothing to do with Celtic Down Under. That's Dan making a statement.
I'm going
Everyone
to say, look, honestly, how can they play themselves 11 on 11? Let's be honest.
can play with themselves, but that's about it.
No.
I mean, I don't see a scenario where Rangers would play against a bunch of Nazis anyway, though, because that pretty much is them, right?
That's what I was going to say. It's a
I genuinely saw a comment last week when they lost to St Johnstone. St Mirren, rather. When they lost to St Mirren, I go on some of their forums just to have a laugh, right? I'm reading these comments, and one of them, the first one was, it all started in 1982 when the Pope visited Bellahouston Park, right? That was when it all started, right?
I love that one.
But the next one, the guy was like, well, we're not going to get anywhere because we all know about the cabal that is working so hard to keep Glasgow Rangers down from our rightful place, right? The dark cabal, as he calls it, right? And the next line was, just say it, it's the Jews, isn't it?
Okay, that's not what I was going to say, Liam. I was going to say the Dark Cabal one. I've seen them on there as well, talking about that the problem that they have is that there's no Scottish players, it's all foreigners, and there's too many black people in their team. Seriously, that was one I saw yesterday. Or was that this morning? One or the other. So, yeah, that's the latest. So, absolute disgusting mob there. So, we'll bring some
and
comments
in the world's eyes, we've been twinned with these fuckwits.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Typhoon McFluster is saying that mob across the river couldn't beat a dusty rug. No, but they'll beat their sister wives. Smell the glove.
Hang on, we don't endorse domestic violence either. Let's just put that on there.
No, we don't endorse that, but that's what they do.
We don't endorse incest either. Let's just make that clear as well.
There's a lot of disclaimers this week.
We should just have that in the show notes. Hashtag disclaimer warning. Smell the glove. We stopped the wee Amish guy in midfield and the Huns have nothing. Andrew Gallard's basically a dead rubber already.
Yep.
I'll just scroll through more. Here we go. Smell the glove. I'll never get over the 90s, so always something in the back of my mind to take these games seriously.
Yeah.
Smell the glove. I'm surprised they allowed Liam Cully to play a game for them. Yeah, with that name. I won't go there.
No.
But yeah, we so heavy vibes of PTSD from the 90s. Smell the glove. And then we just not bringing up that. Jerry Burns, Liam Kelly is their Scott Bain. In other words, he's mince. And then heavy vibes. I spent half my weekly wages to get over to see Celtic during the 90s, and the bastards were cheating the whole time.
Never forget.
I'm glad you finished that because I was going to say I've spent half my weekly wages to get over as well, but it was entirely.
Yeah,
Sorry, Dan, I got it, even if nobody else did.
All I need is one. All I need is one. There's someone out there who had a giggle, and I'm like,
so realistically, then I have two more questions to talk about here. So, will Clermont still be in charge at Ibrox, or do you think their board will have the balls and crack into give in the fan pressure and sack him before the game? As I said, they've got no money. They can't afford to sack him. He's there for the season. Dan?
yeah, I don't think they can afford it. It generally sounds like they're too skint to sack him. They would have by now, surely.
Aye, I concur. If they were going to sack him, they would have done it by now. They would certainly have done it after the St Mirren game. And they're not going to do it today. So you might, I mean, we all know they can't afford to sack him, but it could be the case that you might actually have like genuine civil disturbances on Thursday night if we give them a proper scalping in their own midden. It could get to the point where, for his own safety, he has to leave Glasgow. You know,
it might be the first true mutual termination.
Yes.
I just look at it and go, yeah, he's getting into you can tell he's completely lost. He's gone up here. He's gone. He's checked out. He's working his ticket, trying to get him to sack him. That's what it seems like. Some of the shit he's coming out with in presses, he's getting into Pedro territory. It's amazing to see.
Yeah. Long may
So
continue.
last thing I want to do, and I worded this up before the pod. We want to finish off the pod today. We'll have our final thoughts after this, but I want to do a Glasgow Derby week hot takes. So we wanted to have one hot take just in the lead up to the game, about the lead up to the game, or something that's going to happen between now and kickoff. Then one hot take about something that's going to happen in the actual game, and then one hot take about the aftermath of our unscalping that we're going to put on them at Ibrox. What the story is going to be like, what are they going to be whinging about? That'll be your hot take. All right. So, you guys ready to go, or do you want me to kick things off?
Yeah, I'm happy for you to go. I remember you telling me to remember this, and I totally forgot. So I'm going to come up with something on the spot.
You bloody space.
You fire away, Jared. I've got some things, but I'll wait till we hear yours first.
All right. So my hot take in the lead up to the game is Chris Boyd is going to come out and he's going to start like banging the war drums and saying, Clermont needs to be sacked and I'll take over from him for this game.
Oh, please let it be so.
Come on, Liam. What do you got?
Right. Okay. So my hot take is that there is going to be some completely implausible story about somebody buying the Huns. It will be like, Elon Musk is going to buy Rangers, or the fucking Sultan of Brunei is going to buy Rangers. Something totally implausible, will not happen, but it's the hope that kills them. And they know it will sell newspapers, so they'll do it anyway.
All right. So pre-game, in the build-up from now to the game, I think one of the long-term members, the long-standing members of the Follow forum, uncovers actual evidence that links VAR decisions and the current refereeing setup back to the Pope's visit in 1992 at Bellahouston Park. Tangible, like we can't even deny it anymore. It's in our face.
With the spider diagrams and everything, yeah.
Yeah. And we have to sit there and go, without even realizing we've had a 30-year helping from the Vatican, and we'll have to accept that in the next week. That's and follow. It'll be like the new Twitter. Like everyone will be there because it's like this is where breaking news comes now.
Oh God,
that wasn't bad for right off the fucking top of the head, eh?
No, but the thing is, I can just visualize it.
So one for the game. Smell the Gloves got one for this one here, which is the Huns will get a very dodgy penalty VAR decision.
Now, you said hot take, not standard fare, right?
That's something we expect. My hot take for the game is, and it's similar to this one from Pork Chop here, Danilo Danilo is going to be caught on the pitch along with a couple of their players, giving them the sign of the cross as they're on the pitch or whatever, and their crowd is going to start peppering their own players with coins and bucky bottles. Liam?
Yeah, my hot take is that someone will get racially abused during the game. Might be because he's got an Irish sounding name, might be because he's black. One of Rangers' own players will get racially abused by their fans.
Yeah, again, that just seems so realistic, doesn't it? It's quite depressing.
Yeah.
I'm going to say at one point during the game, James Tavernier successfully defends a Daisen Maeda attack, and then the whole stadium stops as one. We all stop as one. Tav stops as one, and Kyogo nips the ball off his boot and knocks it home because everyone's just slapping down. He did it. He did it. Like, yay, Tav. Well done.
Preferably in the last minute while they're right in the middle of singing "God Save the King."
I was thinking do it in the first minute, and then it's just an all downhill for him from there. And then post game one about what happened in the aftermath of a Hun scalping. My hot take is if you go on a follow, you're going to see referees' phone numbers and addresses and stuff like that being shared on there for the harassment, particularly at Willie Collum.
Well, that'll be fair after the conspiracy is uncovered.
There you go. I played into your one, Dan. There you go. See, you knew what I was doing. Liam?
Right. Post-match, what's going to happen? Yeah, there is going to... Somebody's going to go on follow, claiming some sort of secret evidence that completely exposes that Celtic have been cheating for years. It'll be like EBTs or something like that, and it'll be complete nonsense, but the Huns will all buy it and start sharing it around, and within a couple of days, the Daily Record will run some story about massive financial fraud at Celtic that will turn out to be completely false.
Should actually set up a website with that story on it, and that's the only thing on it. And then someone clicks on the link, and all it says is "suffering your jocks," and it's that Adam.
I mean, I did something similar once. I did plant a story on follow that ran for about 2 days before they took it down. About the Egyptian striker they were linked with, Zadid, Ren Jazz Zadid. And it ran for about 2 days before they realised they were ripping the piss out of them.
And Dan, you got your
you just know there's one guy that goes, I've actually been watching YouTube clips of him. He looks sound. Post game, I was gonna say Chris Boyd, but considering you used Chris Boyd pre-game, I'm gonna switch it to Kenny Miller. Kenny Miller spontaneously combusts. Live on air, he just explodes. There's a couple of moments of just dead air and silence, and then they have to cut to, Gordon Duncan? Oh, I'm sorry, Kenny Miller has exploded out there at Ibrox. And we just move back on.
He's covered in like entrails. He's trying to continue to speak to camera.
Just really professional. He just maintained it. Gordon DL's just lost his shit there. He's looking like he's seen a ghost, and Gordon Duncan's just down the camera. That's unfortunate for him. And anyway, my call it's on 1-3. I think Kenny Miller's even on Clyde Super Scoreboard.
Yeah, I'll bring a few of these up. Typhoon McFlustery is saying Kenny Miller will come out with a bigger whopper than Burger King. Smell the Glove is saying we'll win 5-1 and soonest will say there's hardly a gap between the teams. Heavy Vibes is saying
someone's coloured hair.
Heavy Vibes is saying Peter Lawwell buys the Rangers. Colin Rogers is saying Casper saves a Stonewall penalty. That'd be perfect.
Yes.
Heavy Vibes is saying we get a pen.
How funny would that be?
Timothy Baird is saying first half pitch invasion.
When we're
Typhoon-
4-0 up.
Typhoon McFlustery, they will write a strongly worded letter to the SFA.
In
there'll be
crayon as
statement.
usual.
There'll be statements. Don't worry about that.
Colin Rogers, 17 points clear. The meltdown continues. Hey, I should keep that for next pot noodle on Monday or whatever it is. The meltdown continues. Yep. Brilliant. I like that one.
All right, let's play statement bingo then. How many statements are they going to release between Thursday night and their next home game?
6.
I'm only going to go 4. I don't think they'll be able to afford any more crayons.
I went
was gonna
6
say-
a.m. because that's how many goals they're going to concede. So they're going to have a statement for every goal that we score against them when we beat them 6-0. So 6-1 because they'll get their token penalty at some point.
I was going to say, I assume they can't afford a statement guy full time, so he only works part time. So it depends if he's working Monday, Wednesday, Friday that week or not. So I'll go 3. Just the price is right, yeah, by 1.
So Connor saying Miller does a mojo. There we go. Timothy Baird is saying Kenny Miller melts in a McFlurry along with Boydie and McCann. Heavy Vibes is saying about the statements, 1 for each goal we score. There you go. So it'll be 6. And smell the gloves one. You know how we're talking about one. Desmond, about the EBT thing getting coming up. Desmond doesn't pay UK tax. Desmond, I live and have my businesses in Ireland. Damn, try another one, boys.
That's exactly the sort of thing I'm talking about. Yeah.
We should be dropping that on follow though. I heard Des doesn't pay tax.
Oh, I might have to dig out the burner account for that one.
Do it, Liam. I'll send all the screenshots in their group chat. It'll be hilarious. Lord Flashheart, they finally paid the face painter.
Come on now. That's just ridiculous, mate. I mean, come on. We all like a
Talking about
laugh,
wishful
for God's
thinking.
sake.
All right. So what we'll do, we'll wrap this up because we could go for another 40 minutes easily, I reckon, with this. So we'll wrap it up now. Final thoughts, boys, and then we'll call it a night. So, Dan, you got a final thought?
Just let him go. Let Lewis Palmer go for him and for us. I'm sick of hearing it.
Liam?
For my final thought, I'm going to do a bit of gratuitous self-promotion. I've launched my own wee retro video game channel on YouTube. So if you like hearing me talk nonsense and play through old video games from your childhood, the sort of games you played in the 90s to forget the trauma of what was going on the pitch, give us a follow at Tartan Samurai Gaming.
Well, I was going to make my final thought plugging your channel for you there, Liam. So what I'll do is my final thought will be pretty simple. It's a game that I want to see Liam play on his channel. It's called Leisure Suit Larry. And the reason I want you to play that game is me and my mates, when we were like 9, 10, 11 years old, would play that on the old Atari. And the task was to see who could get Larry to get AIDS the fastest. So that's on your channel. All right. So
disclaimer: we don't endorse AIDS.
Yeah, we don't endorse that. But Liam, that's the challenge, to get that on your channel and not have it taken down by YouTube.
Oh, Christ.
Right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hail, and yeah, fuck the Huns. We'll smash them later in the week. See you on Thursday with Willie.
Happy New Year. Fuck the Huns.
Yes.